Welcome back to the Wolf Den, presented by Win Again Academy. I'm Matt Wolf, founder and CEO of Ticket Time Machine. Today we welcome Lori Corrigan to the show. Welcome to the Den.
Good morning.
Afternoon where I'm sitting. You're in Arizona. I'm in Florida. I met you at the Super Bowl. That's why I'm wearing my hat for the first time, although they lost.
Yes.
It's probably the only time I ever wear this hat, but it's a good keepsake. But for the people in the audience who weren't lucky enough to meet you at the event that I met you at, Super Bowl week, let everybody know who you are, and we'll get into it.
I'm Lori Corrigan, the one who, against all odds, pushed through and made men's body waxing a thing on the radar more than you guys realized 7-8 years ago. It's so taboo, and so many cultural hand-wringing and can't do that, and what happens if this, and you had no representation in this industry of body care, period, but especially waxing, and especially where we specialize, which is the real estate, 2 inches up from your genitals and 2 inches below and everything around it. So we're big kids here. We can actually say the names of the body parts.
We can say whatever you want on the show.
There's no governing board, is there?
Nobody's told us not to yet, or nobody's listening. So either way, we're free to express whatever we want to express here. I guess the big question is, why is that something that you want to do?
It totally fell in my lap.
Yeah.
Literally and figuratively. I started off waxing women, and really quickly, after seeing too many pictures from urgent care of you gentlemen after being in the wrong hands, there's no training in school. We're taught, like any other trade, how to get our license. And the craft comes when you go outside of school and get someone to mentor you, just like with anything else, electrician, plumbing. But everyone's terrified of you guys and what you're born with and where it is and what it does and what it means and what our culture labels it as. An erection is the hugest issue in men's waxing. Also massage therapy. A lot of you guys have not ever had a massage because of all the garbage that surrounds what your body deems feels good. And it's not sexual, it's a sensory stimulation. And that's a big deal of what we educate our clients, because everyone comes in scared. And apparently we have a calming effect on the website, just with the words and the reality and the honesty. And that's wonderful to walk in already trusting someone you've not met. We value that a lot.
A lot to talk about there. I guess the first thing to let everyone know is you are a trained and certified how do you say?
Esthetician. Right. And waxing is a subcategory of that. It's all about the skin. And I decided to focus on waxing. And because the industry is sorely lacking properly trained women. And you can't take the fear out of someone who's been culturally indoctrinated that what you have between your legs, you can completely control, which, that's not true. The funny thing we always say is a leaf can blow by and you guys get an erection, and you don't even know why many times. And you certainly cannot control your breathing or whether you sweat. It's another innate bodily response to a perceived sensory stimulation. That's a big sentence.
So if you're just joining and hear the word erection, let's give you some context here. Lori is the snake charmer, does men's body waxing. And so we're talking about the stigma of why people don't possibly get waxed or get a massage. I can tell you personally, I don't like getting massages. I like soft, kind of tickling, like sensual stuff. That's what feels good to me. And so I've gotten massages before, hard, it's not good. But I would prefer to have a female do it than a male. And I don't know that, getting aroused has anything to do with it, but so I don't know. And the waxing, we'll get into this also. I feel like the getting erection while you're getting waxed in that area should be a lot more natural or okay, because they're literally, touching you in that area, and you're, you know, I would think that would be okay. I don't know. For me, I don't know that that's would be the biggest deterrent to getting it, but
The thing is that you're in zero control of it happening or not, and the
yeah,
elements of um, adrenaline and fear and the unknown and the body's response compared to our conscious desire not to have one, we're overridden all the time. Women get aroused. It's just that your stuff's on the outside and ours is on the inside, and you
yeah.
get vilified for that. Um,
What percentage of people get an erection during this procedure?
99.9,
Really?
and it can come and go. It can stay the whole time, which is fine. It might not show up, but what the body
99%. It's almost every time someone gets waxed in that area, they will get aroused.
yeah, and especially, well, sometimes the body decides it likes if it's a band-aid sting of removing the strip to take the hair off. And sometimes you fellas learn right there, your body is saying, oh, I kind of like that. I'm going to show how I like it. It's not sexual, it is just sensory.
Yeah.
And so there's so much at play there, especially the first time you guys come in, trying to navigate. You have this background of being taught you need to be a man, whatever the hell that means, because all men are real men. That's one of our strong taglines. Because we get asked a lot, do real men get waxed? I don't know what that question means.
Women get
Because
waxed?
do real men,
Oh, do real men get waxed?
Tom Selleck and those burly guys, do those any sports people? Well, yeah, probably every sports person, any kind of outdoor worker person,
Yeah.
cops, firefighters, all of you guys who have hair and have been,
It's just a hair in an unwanted place. It's like shaving.
yeah,
But
it's
shaving
landscaping.
is something that everyone sees, and so the rest of your body is sort of private, maybe for you and your partner, if you're sexually active. And I don't know. I mean, I don't take off my shirt at the beach or the pool, just mostly because of the sun, but I'm sure some of it has to do with my body, whatever it looks like. But the sun, the sun's a good enough excuse. There's no need for me to take it off. I don't like gain anything. So for me, it's fine. But I guess the point of that was, you know, it's unwanted hair and getting rid of it. How are you going to do that? You can shave it, you could laser it, you could wax it. Am I missing anything?
You could do electrolysis, which is the only permanent, and that's a
Is that like
zap
lasering?
electricity. Laser is good. It's not for everybody. It works on pigment. So if you have light skin and light hair, you're not qualified for it. And it takes it all the way down until the light will fade whatever pigmentation. So there will be some hair that you can't get because ultimately it's doing its job. So it's not permanent. And we're always sprouting new hair all the way through our lives. So nothing is permanent except for killing that hair follicle with electricity, but that's expensive and very long and arduous.
So I'm still trying to figure out how you started to wax women. Why is that something you wanted to do? What were you doing before that? I can assume that you either waxed yourself or had someone wax you, which, well, I guess I assume you're waxed. It'd be kind of ridiculous if you weren't, right? I mean, that's a dumb question.
You're not going to ask for proof, though.
No. I don't think we could put on video. I think although
It won't post anywhere, that's for sure.
well, it's live, so we don't have an option for that. It's like the erection. We
Oh,
can't help it. If it's on air, whatever we see on this show is shown. But so a dumb question. Of course, you're waxed. Uh, were you, when you first started, were you waxing yourself, or were you getting it professionally done? I know people who do both.
well, I was actually, the gal who was waxing me was struggling to find someone to come on as a partner of
Okay.
sorts, and she'd trained a number of people, and each time I'd go in and get waxed, I'd hear this one didn't work out, often right out of school. And so you have a 20-year-old who's out of school who wants to learn how to do waxing, and she did both men and women. And there's a whole bunch of stigma with you guys being worked on by a younger gal who you're looking at her like your granddaughter, she's looking at you like her grandfather. Then there's a potential for an erection. So this thick stew that gets swirled around in both head, hers and his, how do I respond? How do I react? What happens if it does?
But that's human nature. That's just a guy being a guy, because I
I'm taught that way.
could be in a store and something embarrassing physically could happen to me, and I'm going to be a lot more embarrassed or care more if it's a young attractive woman than if it's an older unattractive person, or if it's another guy. So yeah, I mean, that's just human nature.
Well, multiply that by 10,000, given what this younger girl is going to be doing with you and for you, who's not trained. They'll get out of school, they'll go to, kind of call them a chop shop, because the ones who are famous, and there's no names going to be mentioned here, but those who are huge corporations don't have your best interests. So the training and the technique and the product are all pretty much lower than what we do. We raise the bar on everything. And to segue back to your original question, I saw urgent care photos that were sent to the owner where I was working, and where I was getting waxed, and we were talking about it. That guys have no representation whatsoever. In fact, you guys are kicked out so often for being labeled a perv because your body decides to say hello. Mr. Johnson is not welcome in most places. And so one of our big points is, who cares? Why are we making this such a big deal? You guys just want some body care services, and you're tired of shaving, and you've got all the reasons why to come in and get waxed. You don't want to be in a sterile environment where you've got Helga looming over you and telling you, I'm going to pour this now. And all of a sudden, yeah, you just want to get up and bolt. So I said, I'll be happy to train as your partner. And we ran with that. We worked together for a couple of years, and then we broke off, and I went strictly men, and she still does men and women.
When you started, when you had that conversation, you were already certified?
No, I was her client. And so I blew through school. It was super easy. I got no education in waxing and came back to her with my license in hand. And she was a trainer as well. So she trained me, and it was perfect. I was so ready to get out of research writing. It was an academic type of a writing career. And my brain was boiled. So I needed something fun and different, and it helped people. And that's what fell in my lap.
How soon were you? I had a post about this on LinkedIn, but how soon were you an expert? Because you can get done with school and be certificate. You wouldn't be an expert right off the bat, right?
I saw that. I saw your post, and I wanted to jump in there, but like with any other word, I may be more attentive than others. There are a lot of people who can wax, but there's a lot more that comes with it than just the actual trade craft.
So how long did it take you, would you say, just
to hone the skill, the actual waxing skill?
Yeah.
Oh, because I was so into getting it down as well and as fast as possible. I was with her for 2 years, and that's when I felt comfortable enough. I was totally ready to do it before that, but moving meant getting my own location, so that had to be taken care of. But the confidence, that's what's lacking, the confidence and the competence, the majority of this industry. Um, Revolving doors of employees, because they get in there and they realize I knew they had to wax men, but the reality was a whole lot worse than what they could imagine. And the injuries are terrible when you are not confident.
Injuries to the men. Yeah.
To the boys.
It's tough to do something like that. I used to get my hair cut at Supercuts or something like that. And the lady was great. Cut my hair. I enjoyed it. But she would complain about the people helping at the front, not showing up. And I'm like, well, you're hiring a 17-year-old kid and paying him $8 an hour. So when you start to do that, it's like it becomes tough in this service, and something like, I don't care about the service I get at a haircut place, to be honest with you. But if I was doing something like this, which is more expensive and I'm going to be going more often, I would care about that. So I understand the hesitance of jumping to do it on your own. Not even necessarily that you can do it. Your skill's the same, right? You don't have to have any more skill to do that, but now you have to have a whole operation.
There's a mindset too. When I moved out, I was sole proprietor, had no intention of branching out and getting bigger. But you gentlemen found what you said is gold, and you started to share it. And the Google ads started to really get some traction. And I was soon booked out 6, 7, 8 weeks in advance, and it became a deterrent for new clients. So I was killing the business by being so successful. So I needed to hire people, but who do you hire? Pardon?
It's a good problem to have, but then the hiring is very important.
Yes, you need a mindset, a presence, a fondness of men, not just to put up with them. And that's what you can't train. You can train the craft all day long. I much more align with masculine energy than I do with my brethren. We are impossible. I give you guys a lot of credit. And so there was a whole ball of wax, so to speak, that had to exist in the people I thought didn't even exist. So 2 ladies entered my life in the process of me figuring out, how am I going to list this job? How am I going to say, you must be okay when the dick gets hard? And I didn't have to.
I mean,
What's that?
Anyone who was interested in that or looking at it probably would understand that, and hopefully would have some type of experience, right? I mean,
well, yes, and interesting you should put it that way, because the 2 gals are exotic dancers. They didn't know each other. I didn't even think about that industry. Perfect. They are so perfect. They have the personality. These gals are the genuine deal. They're not the ones who are just trying to chat you up. They really like men. They really like performing. And so now they have another venue for performing, which is helping the guys look and feel good. And they're feisty, and they're very kind, and they're very funny. It's a great combination, and they can wax like the Dickens. So it worked out really well.
what's the biggest difference between waxing a female and waxing a male?
Physically or personality?
No, just the act of doing. I mean,
I much prefer doing men, because everything's out there, because it's controllable. Women, the labia, super sensitive, kind of can't get right into it. You guys are just right out there handing it over, and it's super easy to manipulate. And again, so much of this industry does it wrong, because you guys leave and you don't tell anybody you did it, because you're so ashamed that you trusted a business that said they can do what they have on the menu. There is one place She has it on the Men's Brazilian. She has it on her website. And then right below it, there's an asterisk, and it says, if you get an erection during the service, your waxer will leave the room so you can gather yourself. And if it happens again, you'll be asked to leave. That's kind. You're getting a warning. Now, I imagine you guys are not going to go to that place given that pressure already before you even make an
I'll be
appointment.
thinking about it.
That's the point. Yes. But you go somewhere else, you're like, yeah, come on in. You've got a 22-year-old who knows nothing about what she's doing, and you're going to see that she's scared. And you guys don't, you won't get up and leave. You'll sit there and endure it because your manhood is at risk. You're being called a baby or a cop out. We've not prepared you well to deal with when somebody says they can do something to your genitals and turns out absolutely the opposite. What do? You're not prepared for that. So
it's not a one and done thing anyway. So it's like, even if you sat through it, what does that really do for you?
It tells you that you knew all along. You should have followed Steve Carell's lead. That most people don't know what they're doing, and they don't.
I was going to make the thing. I was trying to get the video, but there were no short clips, so I'm just going to play this real quick.
What? Don't play Kelly Clarkson, please.
So I mean, look, the stuff that we see in the movies, you said, it's all, and you even see it online, and like, the
sensationalism of it.
Yeah, the waxing, and even just massage and turning into a physical thing. I mean, a lot of that is, some of it's probably there's truth to it, and some of it is it's just Steve Carell just had a hairy chest, and the odds that someone's just going to go and wax like that's not real life. It's more likely that they had unwanted hair on their back and they want to get that done, and it might be just as thick, and you might have the same result, but obviously that. I thought it would have been funny with the back, but that's more reality of it on what people want to do. And now it's like, all right, I have unwanted hair. What are my options? And
well, just to go back to that scene real quick, it's a beautiful talking point. It opens dialogue. So I hate him for what he did, but he suffered. He had no idea what he got himself into. The actress he auditioned said she could also wax. She could not. She wanted that gig really badly. So what you're seeing, I mean, there's no rehearsal for something like that. It was a one and done. It was an uninterrupted role. He did not want to stop. And
wouldn't you shave that down first? You wouldn't just wax that.
You would trim it if you need to, but there's a way to do it, and it's not the way she did it. No. Of course. And so he wanted that to be the best, worst scene in the movie, and he got it because his reaction, his blood, his pain is totally real. The guys in the background who are suffocating because they're laughing so hard, she's laughing, she knows she's messing up, and it's good for the scene. And he almost did lose the nipple. They had to catch that before it happened.
Yeah, but it hurts. Waxing hurts. I've been waxed.
It depends.
It hurts me. I'm just telling you my personal experience. And my wife, who waxes, would tell me like, "Oh, it doesn't hurt me. Why does it hurt you?" I'm just like, it just does. Our skin sensitivity is unique, just like with piercings and tattoos.
Can you tell someone what it's going to feel like to get a nipple piercing? When some people live for that pain, other people can endure it, and some can't even stand it. So everybody's different.
We're going to talk about the waxing that you do, but the argument that I have is I can take a really good razor, and now I can take a really good clippers and shave my back, and there's nothing on it. And by the way, my back isn't like. It doesn't get like Steve Carell's front, but the hair grows, and if you don't attend to it, there's enough of it on there. But can use clippers, and from the looks of it, you wouldn't be able to almost tell the difference. Obviously, if you're feeling it, there's a little bit of a difference. and I can do that in very quick with very little pain. Or I
And
can, get. I've gotten lasered too. We've done lasered, and I can get waxed.
Mhm.
What's the real advantage to you waxing that as opposed to just shaving it?
The main thing, most of the industry uses a technique that is just like shaving. So it's surface hair removal. We step that up significantly and we take out the root. So there's no stubble. All you're getting is the soft tip of the very next cycle that grows through. Doing this on a regular basis, which is between 6 and 8 weeks, um, slows down the growth, softens that density. You're just wearing out the hair. If it's going to grow and get taken out by the root, so many times it's going to decide it's not going to come back. So it is partially permanent. Some of those hairs will not ever come back. But just like with laser, because we sprout new hair throughout our lives, which is why you guys have the nose and the ears, and we ladies have the chin and the lip later on in life. It's something that you have to keep up on. But once every 3 months, when you're at the point where your hair is growing so slowly, I'm only seeing you once every 12 weeks. Everyone else thinks we're crazy, that we're putting ourselves out of business because they get to have their clients back every 3 weeks. It's a beautiful business plan for a bank account. And that's not why we're there. We're there to provide you guys what you're not getting anywhere else.
But that's every 3 months for the rest of my life.
It's so light and so sparse. Some people don't even, it gets to the point like it does when laser stops working. Your hair is so fine, it doesn't bother you to have it there. And it would be the same on your back. And it's everybody's metabolism determines how quickly that happens. But from a new waxer to when he's about 3 months out, it could be 6 to 18 months, depending on your own body.
Yeah. What's the cost of that, just roughly?
Oh, it depends if you're new and if you've been doing it a while, but it's $89 for a men's Brazilian for a new client.
Each visit.
Each visit, which every 6 weeks, you can break that down to,
Affordable.
yeah.
It's not an expensive venture.
Say again?
It's not an expensive venture for something like that. I mean, it's
It depends what city you're in. They get 150 for the same thing in Scottsdale, which is why we won't be opening in Scottsdale. We don't need to drag you in and then steal your money and make you go ashamed of yourself because you have to stop at urgent care on the way home. That's not making up a story. That's a lot that happens.
like when we look at the male or the female body with hair in that area, and even just that's what you get, like people who do toes and nails. I mean, there's ugly, right? I mean, there's a lot of stuff that just has been unattended, and it's going wild, whatever that is. It's probably a lot more in men than women, right?
For what specifically?
The look, if you just pull someone down, you take a first glance at them, and you're just like, man, that's
Oh, for
it's not an
someone.
attractive thing, which is why a lot of people don't want to get it done, because they have other people looking at this unattractive part of them.
So you're saying the genitals being hairy are not?
In the whole area, it doesn't have to be the genitals. It could be, sometimes it could just be anywhere. I mean, I guess if you talk about the back, it's,
Well,
it's attractive. Although some people probably are attracted to it, but
and that's the thing. We're born with it, and we're shamed for it. It doesn't make sense. We're just.
No, I get that. I'm just saying it's an unattractive. If I have 10 people standing in a line and I pull their pants down, I mean, first of all, I don't like looking at guys anyway. But if I start to look at women, you'll have a range of people who are all waxed and shaved, and then some that just kind of, back in the 70s porn, people are like, oh, this is great.
You're not old enough to know that. You didn't live through it.
I was born in the 70s. I might have seen some of it, maybe. I don't know.
Well,
I've been around enough to see a little bit of everything, let's just say. So I'm just saying, from my experience, it's not an attractive thing. I guess my question was, generally speaking, do you think it's that people are in worse shape for how you have to get them care as a male or a woman?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying. This is one of the reasons why we changed to men. Um, a lot of women don't have the same personal care attention that you guys do. You'll stop everything you're doing to go home and shower before you come in to get waxed.
Yeah.
Women, we're just that not attentive. We're not that attentive, and if we have to remind a client to clean up before coming in more than one time, then that's probably not the client we want to have, because
Like
that's
me brushing my teeth and flossing right before I go to the dentist.
oh yeah, because you're breathing right in their face the whole time. Yeah, it would be nice.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. Um,
Do you know, I just want to say one thing, and I might have forgotten to say this before I agreed, that everyone who interviews me has to commit to getting waxed, and you have to come in from out of state.
I don't even know when I'm going to get to Arizona next, but you know what? I don't like to be waxed, so I don't know that it's a genital issue as much as it is. I don't want my back to be waxed, but I probably would. With someone like you, I probably would give it a shot. So I'll tell you that the next time I'm in the area, I'll come in. I'm not opposed to it. I think it's I'm lazy, so to have to do it all the time and make an appointment and just that's part of the problem. Even with the shaving of my face, as you can tell,
Mm.
I don't like to shave my face, and so I'll let this grow. This grows anyway. And here, my wife, she plucks the hairs. She loves to pluck the hairs here, and I'm like,
That hurts like heck.
it hurts.
Yeah,
But,
one hair at a
it does
time.
look good when she does it, but
Mhm.
again, I could just take a razor and in 15 seconds with very little pain, it looks good enough for me to go out in the world. So
Mhm.
it's like,
But there's irritation to the skin too, which is why when you take out the root, there's a whole lot less irritation, if any. It does
I don't
depend.
get a lot. My irritation comes with here because I don't shave, and it's
Mhm.
get dry skin and stuff like that. But it's just like we're talking about time, expense, and comfort, right? I mean,
Okay.
being uncomfortable, right? Those are the three main aspects of why we wouldn't do that. If you say, I'm going to come to your house and I'm going to wax your nether regions and I'm not going to charge you anything, is different than say if I had to go into here,
Mhm.
and I got to pay X amount of dollars. And again, I don't think it's a lot of money to pay for that service. I think it's very reasonable, but it still is. I don't get my hair cut as often. I got to drive to the person I like, and it costs
Mhm.
too much money, and it takes away. So,
It
I don't
depends
know.
on what your focus is. Those who come in for the first time having no idea what to expect, except for reading the website as it's intended as an educational tool to answer the questions before you have to ask them. Um, one thing, if they're happily engaged in free range sex, or they have a partner or whatever, the first thing that comes back is, wow, she loved that. The
Yeah.
balls were so soft. And so the stubble and the hair, wherever we put our mouths, it would be very appreciated to be smooth. And so for just one time, if you ever just try it for one time and see how it goes, uh, you guys enjoy, Rosie and her five sisters enjoy the smooth as well. So there's some self-care involved, as far as, because we all need to be satisfying ourselves, even if we're not in a relationship or having regular sex. This is a big thing I harp on, is that sexual release is huge for your prostate health. It's also huge for your immunity, your moods. You sit and let that stuff fester, you get the Catholic priest syndrome. So there's my PSA for today: is twice a day is what your urologist would tell you if they talk
Twice
to
a
you about
day?
it. twice a day as your health prescription. If you can get 5 times a week,
You ever see The Wolf of Wall Street with Matthew McConaughey? That scene, that's one of my favorite scenes in
I
all of
can't
movies.
stand the guy. He's creepy crawly.
Yeah, it's that was such a great scene.
Yeah.
Twice a day seems, I don't know who's doing twice a day.
Oh, you'd be surprised when your
I got
boss
a
is
company
hot.
to run here. But
It builds you. It brings you more clarity to
no,
run
I,
your
I I
company.
agree with that in a way. There's stuff that it does do to you. You know, I used to joke to my friend, like, if I have a stuffy nose, it after you release, it's like your nose kind
Mhm.
of clears up a little bit.
Your
There's some
brain
weird
clears
stuff
up.
that goes on. I'm
Yep.
assuming you don't have a lot of married clients based on the conversation that you were. That was a little. That was a joke. Anyway,
Yeah, we have a lot of married
that was
clients.
a joke. But I don't think. Well, I want to ask this question, but I don't think, like, for a man taking care of himself, that he really is going to entice him to do it more if it's like shaved down there. But again, I can't. I can only go by what I think. But
And
my
that's
question to you was, like, what would be curious is the percentage of people who are doing it for their significant other, the percentage of people who are doing it for because they're single and they're out in the world meeting new people and hoping to have sexual encounters with them, and then the group of people who are just like neat and need to have their body, like,
mhm.
it just doesn't mesh with their, I don't want to say
Like
it's,
bodybuilders.
yeah, bodybuilders, or back in the day
Mhm.
when we used to, when on TV they would make fun of, like, Seinfeld, with, like, they thought he was gay because he's so neat and clean, and that
Yeah.
type of thing. Like, you have to be
Yeah.
that way because that's just your mindset of how how you want your body to be, and that doesn't have to be just down there. It would
Mhm.
probably be for your legs and your arms and your back and your chest, and
Mhm.
so what's the breakdown on all of that?
Well, the first of all, the Brazilian is 95% of what we do. And the thing with again, the cultural mores we have here, that you have to do this, you have to do that, or else you're an outcast, or you're thought poorly of. Um, I, I just lost my thought. You had said, you said something brilliant just a minute ago. Well, the ease with which people like the sports players and outdoor workers and firefighters and cops and military, all of those wear clothing that's very constrictive. So for health reasons and comfort reasons, those are huge. So you
Performance
don't
in
have.
sports too. I mean, that's,
Mhm.
so
So
that
you'd have swamp ass if you. That's what spurs infection and irritation more than the slight
so when you get
irritation.
this done, now there's no more swamp ass.
There's see, the hair to a point will wick away, but when you're out there with those suffocating polyester sports uniforms and the cops,
Yeah.
the motor cops who ride their motorcycles, they're in the leather and then the wool polyester and the helmet and then the hot engine they're sitting on. The last thing they need is to have a sewer going on in their pants. So it is critical. It's not even uh, voluntary. It's something that they feel they need to get through their day. Um, Bring me back to the beginning of that question.
Yeah, the question was, the majority of people, like, is it to please your significant other, to please, not to please because you're single and you're out there and you're going to have new people seeing you, or just because that's how you are with your body, you want to be, shaven and whatever.
It kind of morphs. It kind of starts off with, oh, my girlfriend or my wife made me do it. So when those words come out, I'll say, do you want to do this? And I'll say, because I'm not going to wax you unless you are on board.
Yeah,
This
but
is
we do this. You do that. I don't want to wax my back. I don't want my face plucked. I do it because that's what my wife wants to do, in a sense, and she likes to do it. So I'm like, what the hell? So that's a different. It is a different thing.
yeah.
Um, So I don't, I think it's okay for people who really don't want, if you really don't want to do it, like you're adamant and against it, sure.
Yeah.
But it's like, I always go back to the movies with Jennifer Aniston and Vince Vaughn. She's like, I want you to want to do the dishes. She's like, nobody wants to do the dishes.
Yeah. But they have to be done. Why do we have to make our bed when we get into it every day? We have to mess it up every day. Yeah. But there's so many other reasons why to wax. The conversations we have with men, the vast majority are in dead relationships, and they're just trying to hold together a semblance of their own self-respect toward themselves, because there's a lot of cruelty that goes back and forth when you're in a relationship that is absolutely dead in the water. They don't want to leave because it's too frightening. She'll take everything I have. She'll turn the kids against me. I'll be thought of as XYZ. So all these things that are culturally related, and I've learned marriage is not a blissful institution. It's bringing a third party into your relationship whose rules you must follow. So marriage can possibly.
This is my friend Frank, who says, wait till you try it before you decide whether you want it. You don't have that luxury. You always have, I don't say that don't knock it till you try it. I don't understand that saying, but I do get with this. The thing about it is, if I get this done once and I decide it's not for me and I never do it again, eventually it grows back sort of to where it was. Is it a rumor that it goes back faster if you're doing this stuff? That's all.
Yeah, all of those old wives' tales. What you're doing when you're shaving, if you're doing surface removal, you take off 2/3 of the hair. The other 1/3 is the root that's still growing up. It's the thickest part of the hair. So of course you're going to see, oh my God, it's so much thicker. No, it's just what you've left behind. So that is not left behind, which is why there's no stubble and the irritation is so much less. We use products that some places don't even know exist because we have done our homework. There are a couple of things that hardly ever I see anywhere else that immediately takes away the sting and makes your skin supple and calm. And so all the irritation you could feel, you're not going to feel. But it's a costly product. I don't care what it costs. I want your experience to be 1000% enough that you're going to come back. And so we have 600 active clients and over 90% retention rate.
I would think that would be high. I just think the people didn't know what they were getting into, and they're just like, this isn't for me. That's not going to be a lot, I would think. Real quick, Frank had a follow-up when you're talking about the swamp. Do you need to powder? Like if I powder and we powder now, which is like kind of a joke with us, like, did you bring the powder when we go on vacation and stuff? Who brought the powder? Do you have to powder as much? I mean, I assume you still might have to, but no.
Well, no, you're right. Everything is reduced. All the irritation is reduced. Be careful which powders you use because there are a lot of other crap ingredients. I would get your stuff from Whole Foods or Sprouts or some other high-end place that actually does take your health into account when they stock their shelves.
Right.
You're going to have to just see how it is on you. Some people have a higher level of perspiration. We don't all have the same number of sweat glands. Some of us, as you guys know, some of you sweat and you're just sitting there. That's just your body. You have a high metabolism.
Be nervous about, and that's something to be nervous about. So you're going to sweat more.
And it's okay.
When you're with someone of the opposite sex or same sex in a physical, you're going to sweat. So yeah, it all makes sense.
It's what we all do. We all
it's uncontrolled. It's involuntary. It's like, there is a lot of stuff, and we can get, that's for a whole nother episode. But you talked about marriage. You're not married, correct?
I tried that once.
You tried it once. So you're a single woman out in the dating world, and you're someone who waxes men. if you're going to meet someone, let's say it's online or wherever, is that part of a conversation about, I mean, you
Oh,
can
yeah.
tell a little bit, but sometimes you can't, like what's going on underneath?
That's a great question.
Is it a deal breaker for you?
No, if it's kept up nicely, but again, if your preference as the guy is to do one thing and my preference would be you do something else, I would never impose my will on you, but you'll likely have already asked what's your preference because we've already talked about what I
And
do
it's
for a
what you
living and
do
all.
also. So it's like, that's a different, that's a different thing. But there are a lot of women who won't date anyone who have hair in other places. And it's like, that stuff can be fixed and removed, so it's kind of silly. And not that I'm gonna, just go and remove all the hair from my body, but maybe there are people who do it, right?
Oh,
Because
yeah,
there are people who do it, and so it's
there are a
not
lot
the
of
end
people who
of
come
the
in
world.
who have, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's not the end of the world if you do.
There are a lot of, we have a handful of 80-year-old gentlemen who lost their wives and they come in just they're spunky as can be and so adorable because they put themselves back on the market and have been told in no uncertain terms that nah, you need to get rid of
Well,
this before we have any. Hmm?
I've seen them in the gym. Adorable is not the word I would use, but I'm not a female,
You're
so I
seeing them from a different
get
perspective.
it. But I tell you one thing about them which doesn't surprise me is they'll walk around buck baloo. They don't care.
No, you
Balls
don't
in
care when you
your
get
face.
older.
I'm sitting
Thank
there putting my
you.
sneakers on. And I look up and I'm staring at this guy's, his world. So it's like,
Well,
and
that's
really
on
don't.
you. That would be
What?
on you.
Well, I just don't. No, I don't. I don't. If I was like, maybe I can't say it. I was saying if I was like jacked to no end and had because I don't have the greatest body image of myself. I hide it well, but if I was like, Tom Brady, maybe I would feel comfortable. But I don't know. I don't think I'd want to anyway, even if I do. So I think there's some
You're
sense of,
not old enough to not give a shit, though.
well,
You'll
you're
get
right.
there.
You're right. I hope to get to that point.
You'll get there.
Some, but it also doesn't matter. I don't work out in a gym anymore. So, but the point was that it makes sense that they would want to do something like that because they really don't care. It's like that doesn't mean they don't even think twice about it. And what I'm thinking is, we haven't even. What I want to touch on is when we talk about why I don't want to go to you,
Mhm.
me or men in general. I think it's the action that's going on the back more than the front. That's my opinion as a male.
Yeah.
And so I'm not worried about getting an erection. I'm worried about anyone going,
Yeah.
penetrating that area.
Yeah. Perfect example of the list of 3,000 things you guys are concerned with the idea of how do I get through this? Can I show pain? And it's not pain as much as discomfort because it's like a band-aid removal. So there's a sting. And
I
again,
don't even think it's
normally,
that. I think it's just
well,
having a woman go in that area. It's not, if you're
yeah,
going to you, the assumption is there's hair there,
yeah.
and it's your, yeah, whatever. Obviously, you're going to shower before you go, but it's just, I don't know.
That's another reason why we do guys, because women were not that persnickety. They were not that aware. You guys will just have showered before you come in, and you'll still go in the bathroom, and it's so appreciated. There are a couple of guys right now. The gals have said, "What can I say here?" And it's just you just say it. Hey, it's getting hot outside, and we're asking everyone to go in the bathroom and clean up again before they get on the table. So no one's singled out. Um, but you have to be honest. That is really the foundation of what we do because I hear and I read what others say. It's pain free. It is not pain free, but it's not painful. Word choice is huge. So the discomfort is dependent on your body. No one can tell you how anything feels on you on a personal care service. None.
I would tell you that the pain would be further down the list on other.
Exactly. There
Yeah.
are so many social and cultural concerns. To get back to what you just said, between the cheeks is part of the Brazilian, and so you bring your knees to your chest and you hold them up, and you're on show. But by that time, that's the end of the service. We have already, no matter which gal you've gone to, we've already bonded and laughed, and
Yeah.
you've lost all of your concern because the vibes were told over and over. The vibe in there is amazing.
Can you come down here the next time? I think in like 4 more years, I need to get another colonoscopy. Just come on down when they do that. They knock me out.
Serious.
I'll wake up because I remember I was naked in a gown, and there was an attractive younger
Mhm.
assistant nurse, and you're just like, well, this is embarrassing. I don't know why. I'm never gonna have sex with her. Like,
It's
why do
our
I care?
culture. If we were in Europe, we wouldn't even be having this conversation because we wouldn't need a place like Snake Charmer.
Yeah,
It's
but then
it's just
be a,
body
be a dentist instead.
a dentist. That's boring and gross.
You one of the things about you and it is this you're just I feel like I'm sort of this way, just a calm person, very
Mhm.
easy to be around, so you feel relaxed when you talk to them, which is very important what you do, and you've spoken to that. Attractive too, and I've seen on the website that doesn't hurt when someone's having to come to this, although some people might feel like that is a bad, so it's like
Yeah, I've been asked a few times to wear a bag over my head, and
I've
it's
been asked a
all
few
okay.
times for that also, but not during wax.
Well, can I
I'm
have eye holes at least?
What,
It's
you're not good enough to do it blindfolded?
I could. Do you want to be the first?
No, I
I
don't.
wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
It's again, it's all of our you have to be a man. You have to be stoic and get through things that are brought about because of how we treat you as men. It's a vicious cycle. The
But then
whole
you don't care. I could sit there, I could scream in pain, I could cry and complain and start screaming
you
like
wouldn't be at
Kelly
Snake Charmer if you're
Clarkson.
screaming.
I know. But I don't scream in pain, but I always make those noises when you do like when you do when you get a rip going.
So we have these gag balls
Oh yeah.
that oh yeah. Oh, now I got your
Oh
attention.
no, I don't know that I would use it. Just sounds interesting to me.
No, we don't. You guys, again, women
Get
are
a towel.
no, you don't even need it because so much of the fear after the first pull, the words, oh, that's not as bad as I thought, all the time because it's not.
You're
So
telling
much
me
of
that
what
this isn't. It's got to be at least on par with the pain that I get with my back being waxed.
I can't tell you because that's
Well, me
your
personally,
body.
right? But if my
Yeah,
back then if I'm getting down in the Brazilian, you would think
different.
it's got to be as much, if not more.
No, skin is skin no matter where it is, and you're sensitive more in some places and some
I
places
shave
not.
with a thing here
Mhm,
and a clippers just like to get it down. And
mhm,
here I feel nothing. And then I get into this area, and it's not
mhm.
even necessarily my Adam's apple, but there's an area here that just gets sensitive for some reason.
See, you just answered your question. So, because we're all covered with the same skin, it is not sensitized the same anywhere. So, within
All
your
right.
genitals, your balls, the hair, the skin on the balls are some of the toughest, unless you're older and you're thinner skinned. Um, but then there's the shaft and the triangle of pubic hair on top. For most, is the most sensitive. There's just something with you guys right up at the top there that will become inflamed and irritated.
Really?
But it could just be a visual irritation. It doesn't mean the nerves are going to be pissed off.
Right.
Every time you come in, it could be different. Your stress
Well,
level, how much caffeine have you had? Did you take a blood thinner like Tylenol, or just anything that you're asked not to do or that you can't help. You can't help stress. You think you put it behind you in your head, it's working. And the skin is the first place to show when you get breakouts and stuff. That's stress. So you have to come in without any stress.
Is there a mark, like you talked about, you figure out how much you like something like that, people who like the pain, the people who like that, to get to where it is something that's kind of sexual but not crossing that line? Is there a market for there? Like,
You mean like a dominatrix?
yeah, sort of, but or that's like a service, but they're like people have a fetish of something like this.
Mm-hmm.
Could this be a fetish?
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure. And it could be an unknown fetish until you're there for your first time. And just to tweak the direction here a little bit, so many of you guys, so many of you guys get no touch anywhere. Your relationships, as I alluded before, are dead. So to have not someone touch your genitals, but to have someone care about your well-being and provide a service for you that's going to make you feel better about yourself, and then laying hands, having somebody who is not scary, engage in conversation that's going to allow you to bring up things that they say it all the time. I've never told anyone this, but I feel real comfortable with you.
Yeah,
which is huge.
you get in a lot of these type of situations with, depending on what you're sharing,
Mm-hmm.
verbally or physically.
And so what it comes to be a lot is waxing secondarily, and a therapeutic session, a talk session, because we encourage you guys to just open up. You're not
What do you
going
think about Manscaped? I mean, they're become very big, and that's
Yeah.
self-grooming, which is good. You said if someone takes care of it, I might not be like, all right, they need to definitely do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like an art, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you're waxing, so that's different. You're removing everything, but
Sometimes there's a strip. You guys do sometimes want a little bit left
there's men who want the strips.
because they're acquiescing to their ladies.
Oh,
Typically, they don't want it, but they don't care either because.
I mean, how about you lead with just, if you remove all the hair from that area, it looks bigger.
Well, okay, that's the illusion. It's true. It's like a giraffe sticking its head through the trees. If you took the trees away, you'll see the whole rest of that neck.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good place to lead. But the the Manscaped type thing, it's like, if you're going to go to the time and the thing, why wouldn't you just go and get it done? What's the biggest obstacle
to having the Brazilian part done, or waxing it all?
Yeah.
Both, or
which? Well, I'm not Brazilian myself.
Okay, so what typically happens if you're not coming in first off, your first appointment for a Brazilian, it's typically the back. That is a safer place for you guys. You intuitively know that, so you'll book a back as a test subject. And then, of course, we pass with flying colors, and you'll come back, and you'll have built this trust tunnel to not even think twice about coming back after a back wax. Even if we don't talk about the Brazilian, you just want to come in and get the vibe, make sure we know what we're doing. Our ages are well within. Well, we have a 35 and a 40-year-old, and then I'm the grandma of the bunch, so we have years under our belts. We're not just thrown into. We wouldn't hire anyone who's just right out of school. That's a huge part of the vibe, is your maturity and your ability to converse. And I think I got off topic. Where were you heading with this? Oh, when they would have, at what point do they get a Brazilian?
Yeah, I'm just saying, why, if you're going to go through this, do the Manscaped and do this all yourself, what's preventing them? Mostly it's probably the stigma one, right?
Yes, the stigma.
Stigma and fear, right?
And yes.
Yeah, fear.
Well, totally, because if they're getting a back wax, you can get an erection from anything.
Yeah.
If your elbow is an erogenous zone, you could get an erection from that. It's all surrounded by that and how much will it hurt, which is common. And then again, you can't tell anyone how much it'll hurt. Um, but getting into the studio, we hear it so often. As soon as they walk in the door, they're like, okay, this is okay.
Yeah.
And so by the time they get through their paperwork and they get into the room, they'll start asking, okay, so tell me more about the Brazilian. And it's
I mean, that's natural. That's with a lot of places. You just got to do it. And as you're starting to do it, you'll feel more comfortable. And once you've done it once, then you don't give a shit about doing it again.
Yeah. Then you make your appointment right when you leave. You're ready. You're strong and you're confident now.
But it's something to be. It's weird looking. I've seen, like, if I remember the first time I saw a female like that, and I feel like she was an older female, so it looked weird when the first time I ever did anything to myself down there. It kind of looks weird. So that is something that you have to get kind of used to, and then it might like jump at you if you see it. I don't think men necessarily get that way when they see women, because it's almost just like assumed that the majority of them are doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But when a female is looking at a male and for the first time, and you do that, and you're just like, it takes a minute to process, I assume.
This is a huge thing too. Women are so critical, and just the stuff falls out of their mouths. They don't take into account that this boy has done something for this girl that he wants her to appreciate. A 40-year-old man will never look like a 10-year-old boy. He doesn't have the equipment of a 10-year-old boy. The 10-year-old boy doesn't have hair because he hasn't sprouted yet. So that whole connection is so wrong, and just another dig at you guys for, oh yeah, okay, so you must be one of those. How many straight guys do you have in your clientele? Which is such a weird question, because we have 2 gay men out of 600.
I would think it's more, but it doesn't shock me that that seems low just on the basis of men. I don't know.
Well, there are communities where there is men's waxing.
Yeah.
Specifically tailored for gay men because they're more comfortable. The gay guys who come in are totally comfortable with us. It's just that for whatever reason, the comfort zone and the confidence guys get from reading the website translates to every man. All men are real men. So whether they choose to go someplace that caters to gay men or come to there's nothing that says this is a heterosexual place.
No, of course not.
There's
it
nothing.
Shouldn't be. It's hair is hair.
Yes.
I was on a man, a woman, gay, straight, trans, whatever. The hair is the hair. It's being removed.
That's it.
Some females have male hair, like not male hair, but hair where it generally grows on males and not females. And but that's a stupid thing that people would just even talk about. I gotta run in a few. We're gonna finish it off with I was just gonna say, I will come see you the next time I'm in the area. Okay. But if you wanted to make a 6 to 8 week trip here, I have some people we could probably get you just to sort of take care of in a weekend, and we'll operate.
We don't tie anyone down to it.
We'll operate out of my spare bedroom.
Oh, that's going to be great.
Yeah, we'll let you out of the wolf den with the same question everyone gets. You could spend a day with anybody in the world. They have to be alive, and you can't be related to them. Who would you choose, and what would you guys do?
Oh gosh. Right now, I'd have to say it's Adley Rutschner.
Who?
From Baltimore Orioles.
Oh, okay.
The catcher.
Yeah.
He's had a phenomenal trip up to the majors. Just someone who's just coming up in his life would be really cool. Just off the top of my head.
Oh, that's a great answer. And would you wax him? Or he's probably already waxed if he's a catcher, I would think.
Oh my gosh. I would hope. Can you imagine pulling?
Well, let's reach out to him. We're going to send this to him and see where.
Oh, please do. Because they're coming in September. They're here in September.
Yeah.
In Phoenix.
There you go.
So they're here for 3 days. We can absolutely get them on board.
Wax. Well, check it out, snakecharmeraz.com.
Mhm.
If you're in the area, if you know someone in the area, if you want to go take a visit and get this stuff done and see the Grand Canyon and go to the Sedona and make a vacation out of it, stay at the Valley Ho in Scottsdale.
Nice.
We had a friend vacation there. It was fun there. But anyway, check it out. Really great to see you. It was a pleasure meeting you out in Arizona, and I'm glad that we got to chat here. And we'll do it again sometime. And that's it. Check us
We're
out.
not going to talk over a wax, though. We'll go have
Yeah.
because you won't be doing much talking. You'll be too
No.
in your head at the first time.
Probably. All right. We'll see you soon. We have episodes next week. Have a great night, weekend. It's March Madness. Go Wildcats. Bear down. That's not your area, but bear down. And we'll see you guys soon. Thank
Thanks.
you.